We see it every year. A team enters the season with college football playoff expectations, and they fall just short, typically in shocking fashion. But which elite team could that be this year? That's what we're here to talk about today. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. So glad you could join us as we continue our off-season content, but not for much longer as we're getting closer and closer to the start of prediction season right here at the Gridiron Expert. And because we're getting closer and closer, you need to check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters that will be starting up here in just a few weeks. You do not want to miss out any of that exclusive content that you're going to want all year long. We're talking college football with you year round. So check that out, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any future videos. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation. It will be the best decision you make this college football season. So, we're talking about elite teams, right? For the sake of this video, we're looking at teams that are projected to win their conference this year, the favorites to win their conference. So in this case, it would be Texas in the SEC, Clemson in the ACC, Arizona State in the Big 12, Ohio State, of course, in the Big 10, and then we are going to include Notre Dame as well. They're not in a conference, but they are an elite team, national runner-up last year. Which of those teams that we just mentioned, those 5 teams, could miss out on the college football playoff this year? If you were picking one, which one would it be? In no specific order, let's start with Texas. Go over to the SEC. They are the favorite in the conference. Of course, going to be competing against teams like Georgia and Alabama and LSU, maybe Ole Miss. I mean, it's a tough conference, right? SEC and Big Ten, still the kings of king in the world of college football. Longhorns now led by Arch Manning. They have a solid offensive line, solid wide receivers, very strong defense. This is a very complete team for Steve Sarkisian and a Texas team that was one win away for playing for a national championship last year. So they absolutely could find themselves back in that situation again this year. The questions, of course, are, will Arch Manning live up to the hype? You know, we've been hyping him up for over a year now, almost 2 years now. Is he going to live up to those lofty expectations that he's been set before him in Austin? How will all the new pieces, especially on offense, begin to gel for the Longhorns? And then, of course, how do they navigate the schedule? The schedule is pretty favorable, for being honest here, especially their home slate. They do open the year up at Ohio State. They do go on the road to Florida, who could be a sneaky team in the SEC this year. And they do go on the road to Georgia, who they were unable to beat in Austin last year. And then were also unable to beat them again in the SEC championship. So the Bulldogs certainly have the Longhorns number. And of course, you have Oklahoma in Dallas as well. That's not going to be an easy game either. But the beauty for Texas, and for many teams in this situation, because of the new 12-team playoff, you can afford to lose a game or two and still get in, right? And not miss out. You look at the schedule and let's say Texas did lose to Ohio State, and let's say they did lose on the road to Georgia. They're 10-2, but if they won everything else, it's only one conference loss. It's probably going to get them into the SEC championship. You win that, you're absolutely in. Even if you lose, you're losing to 2 good teams. I just don't see the Texas really missing out there, right? It would have to take an epic collapse, a 3-loss regular season for the Longhorns to end up missing out. Not saying it couldn't happen, but odds are it probably won't. Look at Clemson. They made that college football playoff last year. Bounced back, won the ACC, barely snuck in, ended up losing to Texas, played Texas in Austin, lost in the first round of the 12-team playoff, but they're loaded this year, the favorites in the ACC. Cade Klubnik is back. The offense is absolutely loaded from top to bottom. The defense is loaded from top to bottom. Probably going to even be better than the offense, and will now be led by the very energetic and passionate Tom Allen as their new defensive coordinator. The Tigers, though, despite having all the talent in the world and despite playing in a, I'm not going to say weak ACC, but a, mediocre-ish ACC, do have a tough schedule. They open the season at home against LSU. Going to be a great measuring stick for both those programs. They do have to go on the road to Louisville. They have to go on the road to South Carolina. Yes, they play at Georgia Tech as well, at North Carolina and Bill Belichick, but they do get to host in Death Valley. They host SMU, who they played in the ACC championship last year, and they do host Florida State, who we're expecting to bounce back a little bit in 2025. But the bottom line is, they're in a similar spot to Texas. You look at the schedule, you would expect Clemson to be favored just about every ACC game they play. Doesn't mean they're going to win them all, but they'll be favored. 2 of the toughest games they play are in the SEC. They went 0-3 against SEC teams last year. Even if they lost, though, to LSU in the season opener and South Carolina in the season finale. Clemson still 10-2, undefeated in conference play, going to the ACC championship. Win that, you're in. Lose that, you still might get in just as a lower seed. Very strong possibility there, but Clemson's going to have to make sure they try to win one of those games because the strength of schedule certainly won't be as strong for them compared to a team in the SEC, Big Ten, guys like that. So something to watch out for there. But Tigers are sitting pretty, especially if they can split one of those SEC games that bookend the entire season. Arizona State in the Big 12. Surprises all last year, right? No one saw the Sun Devils doing what they did. Not just, I think when I entered the year last year, I thought, it'd be a successful season if Arizona State can make a bowl game. They did that and so much more. Won the Big 12, went to the college football playoff, and probably should have beat Texas in the playoff. So an unbelievable run, and now they're the favorites to win the conference and what really is a wide open Big 12. I mean, anybody can win this conference, guys. It could be Arizona State. It could be Iowa State. It could be Kansas State. It could be Texas Tech with all the money they've spent. The Sun Devils, though, are in good shape. They've got Sam Leavitt, one of the best quarterbacks, not just in the conference, but in the country. Yes, they lose Cam Scatterboo, which is a huge loss, but Jordan Tyson returns, like a 1,100-yard receiver. So you got a great quarterback, a great wide receiver one option there, and the defense has 9 starters back. They were 38th total in the nation last year. Top 40 defense. Now 9 starters are back. So they've got the most important position on the field covered, a loaded defense, an electric wide receiver. Arizona State's looking really, really good, but the schedule is so tough because the Big 12 alone is going to be so tough. They have to go on the road to Baylor. Not going to be easy. I'm excited about this Bears team this year. They have to play TCU at home, at Utah. They get to host Texas Tech. They have to go to Iowa State. They have to go to Colorado. I mean, a lot of tough road games there for the Sun Devils. Again, Baylor, Utah, Iowa State, Colorado, all on the road, and then Texas Tech and TCU at home are not going to be easy to stop either. So you do wonder, how will Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils handle that? Last year they went 10-2, 7-2 in conference play. If that happened again, probably would be good enough to give them the Big 12 championship. You win that and get in. Keep in mind, though, Arizona State, if they don't beat Iowa State in the Big 12 championship, they don't get into the college football playoff, right? They wouldn't have gotten in. Iowa State would have gone. Sun Devils would have been at home. So you're looking at this at Arizona State saying you've got to go at least 10-2 or better in the regular season probably, and then got to win the Big 12 championship. Not sure anything less than that is going to get them into that 12-team playoff. It's going to be very, very interesting. Tough road for them, but still going to be a good season. Notre Dame, they overcame the Northern Illinois loss, pretty much won out the rest of the way, all the way until the national championship game. They fell just short against Ohio State. Furious comeback, fell just short. How does C.J. Carr pan out? Riley Leonard's gone, new quarterback for the Fighting Irish, a lot of hype surrounding him. How's he pan out in South Bend? He finally has some good wide receivers surrounding him, a good offensive line, and the defense under Marcus Freeman typically going to be pretty strong. They've got a new DC and Chris Ash as well. But also Jeremiah Love, by the way. Don't forget that. Quarterback, wide receiver, great. Jeremiah Love going to be phenomenal like he was last year for Notre Dame. So the offense is looking good. The defense is looking good. This is still a team that's a playoff team, no doubt about it. But the schedule this year, much tougher than it was last year. Last year you look at the schedule, toughest games were what? On the road against A&M in the season opener, home against Louisville, and then on the road at USC in the season finale. Really weren't many tough games for Notre Dame in 2024. They took care of business in the playoff. We'll give them props there, but there wasn't that many. This year, significantly tougher. Opening the year up on the road against Miami. Then they host Texas A&M. On the road at Arkansas. Boise State at home. USC at home. So a Miami team that could be salty with Carson Beck. A&M, who is going to be very solid again this year. Arkansas might not be great, but they're a team that could pull off an upset, I feel like, on any day of the week. They're not a great team, but they can compete. Might give Notre Dame a lot they can handle. Boise State was in the playoff. USC was giving Notre Dame all they could handle. Still defense stepped up in the fourth quarter. So you look at this for Notre Dame, and because they're not in a conference, they don't get an automatic bid for winning a championship. If Notre Dame loses 2 games, I think they're out. I'm not saying they are going to lose 2 games, but there's a lot of tough games on the schedule where they did slip up, and these are games that we think are tough. This is assuming they don't slip up against another Northern Illinois or Marshall-type team. 2 losses gets them out. I don't think they get in. I really don't when the committee's going to be weighing all these other conferences. So Notre Dame's going to have to find themselves at 11-1 or undefeated to get into the playoff. 10-2, they're in the mix. But I just don't know if the committee would put them in. So really, really tough for the Fighting Irish here. But again, they do have a phenomenal team. And then finally, got to finish with the national champions. Kind of go in order, I guess, a little bit in that way. Notre Dame was the runner-up. The national champion was Ohio State. This is a team that, once again, will have national title expectations, no doubt about it, but a team that won the national title last year only brings back 7 starters. So a lot of, not rebuilding, it's reloading for teams like Ohio State and Clemson, Texas, and Alabama, guys like that. But they have a new quarterback, Julian St, coming in. How does he look? 3 of the 5 teams we've talked about in this video today are going to have brand new quarterbacks entering 2025. A lot of questions surrounding those quarterbacks. So how well is Julian St look? He's got a great security blanket in Jeremiah Smith, the best receiver in college football. He gets to rely on him all day long, which is fantastic. But this is Ohio State defense that now lost their defensive coordinator as well. They had the number 1 defense last year, but has to replace him and all 4 defensive linemen. They've got some questions on both sides of the ball. A lot of new faces, a lot of youth. Ryan Day is going to get the most out of them. They're going to compete. They're the favorite in the Big Ten, at least for me right now. But you do wonder what Ohio State's got to do to get in. I mean, obviously, we expect them to, but they went 10-2 last year, didn't play for the Big Ten championship, still got in as a number 8 seed, number 18. This year, schedule a little bit tougher. Texas in the opener. At Illinois could be a big trap game. Penn State always plays them tough. At Michigan in the finale. Michigan certainly has their number. But Ohio State, to me, is in a similar spot to Texas. Ohio State goes 10-2, they're in. They don't even have to go play for the Big Ten championship. We just saw that last year. They go 10-2 with, say, losses to Penn State and Texas, which I know both those are at home. But let's say they did. Penn State and Texas 10-2, they're in. They're in. 10-2 with a Big Ten championship loss, so 10-3, they're in. I think the only way Ohio State misses out is by going 9-3 or worse. And when's the last time that happened, right? No one really envisions that happening. Could. You don't know until you play the game. Anything can happen on any given Saturday, but it would take a lot for a team like Ohio State to miss out. A lot for a team like Texas to miss out. Bottom line is, out of all 5 of these teams that we just discussed, the 2 teams that I think could be most likely, out of these elite teams, the 2 teams most likely to miss the playoff, not saying they are, for people get angry in the comments, are Arizona State and Notre Dame. If you're looking for 2 teams on this list right here that are most likely to miss out on the college football playoff, it would be Arizona State and Notre Dame. Again, not saying that's going to happen. I'm not putting money on that. We're going to be predicting all these teams' records here in just a few weeks. All the more reason to check us out here at the channel. But those are the 2 teams that I would be most concerned about, feel least confident about out of these 5 teams if it was making a trip back to the 12-team college football playoff. We see it every year. Every year a team enters with sky-high expectations. Every year a team or 2 falls short. Let's just hope it's not yours. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, gridironexpert.com, home to those expert picks, home to our weekly newsletters, tons of exclusive content there for you to take advantage of and become a member of our GE Nation so you get your daily college football fix with us year-round. Do not miss out. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.